Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, wait, why did I agree to that? You never planned to change your mind. You weren't forced. Nobody threatened you. Yet somehow, you ended up doing exactly what someone else wanted. Here's the unsettling part. The most dangerous manipulators don't look dangerous. They don't shout. They don't argue. They don't control you with power. They control you with psychology. And by the end of this video, you'll probably recognize at least one person who's been doing it to you for years. Your brain likes to believe it's in control. Every decision feels like it's yours. What to buy, who to trust, who to date, what career to choose. But psychologists have discovered something uncomfortable. Many of our choices aren't entirely ours. They're quietly influenced by people who understand one simple truth. Humans don't like being controlled, so the smartest manipulators never make it feel like control. Instead, they make you think the idea came from you. Imagine your friend says, "I'm not saying you should quit your job, but don't you deserve better?" Notice something? They never told you to quit. They simply planted a seed. Now your own brain starts watering it. Hours later, days later, you convince yourself quitting was your idea. This is called suggestion, and it's far more powerful than commands because people resist orders, but they rarely resist their own thoughts. Now here's where it gets even stranger. Have you ever apologized even when you weren't wrong? Someone seemed disappointed. Someone acted hurt. Someone went silent. Suddenly, you felt guilty. You rushed to fix the situation, not because you caused the problem, but because someone made you feel responsible for their emotions. This is emotional conditioning. Over time, your brain learns a pattern. If they're unhappy, I must have done something wrong. Eventually, they don't even need to ask. You control yourself. That's the goal. The greatest control happens when the controller disappears. Think about this. Why do casinos have no clocks? Why do social media apps never seem to end? Why does one more episode always start automatically? Because controlling people isn't about force. It's about designing an environment where your brain naturally follows the path someone else created. The same thing happens in relationships. A manipulative partner doesn't always say, "You can't see your friends." Instead, they say, "I just miss you when you're with them." Suddenly, canceling your plans feels like kindness, not control. The trick isn't changing your behavior overnight, it's changing how you interpret your behavior. Here's another tactic almost nobody notices: scarcity. When something feels limited, our brain automatically values it more. This offer ends tonight, only 3 spots left, I don't open up to many people. Whether it's shopping, dating, or friendships, scarcity makes us chase things we would normally ignore. The manipulator doesn't create value, they create urgency, and your brain confuses the two. But perhaps the most powerful weapon of all is validation. Humans crave approval, not because we're weak, because we're wired that way. When someone praises you, your brain releases dopamine. You feel seen, important, accepted. A skilled manipulator understands this perfectly. They compliment you, make you feel special, earn your trust, and only then they begin asking for favors. One small favor, then another, then another. Before you notice, you're doing things you would have refused months ago. Psychologists call this the foot in the door effect. Agreeing to something small makes you more likely to agree to something bigger later. It sounds harmless until you realize how often it's happening. Salespeople use it, influencers use it, companies use it, even friends sometimes use it without realizing. Now here's the question that changes everything. Why do smart people still get manipulated? Because manipulation isn't about intelligence, it's about attention. If you're distracted, emotionally overwhelmed, lonely, or desperate for approval, your brain stops asking critical questions. Instead of asking, "Is this true?" it asks, "How does this make me feel?" And feelings are surprisingly easy to influence. That's why fear spreads faster than facts. That's why confidence often beats competence. That's why calm people are so difficult to manipulate. Because they pause, they think, they notice. Manipulators hate awareness. The moment you start asking, why did they say that? What do they gain? Who benefits from this decision? Their invisible strings begin to break. Here's a simple experiment. The next time someone gives you advice, don't immediately ask, "Is this good advice?" Instead ask, "Who benefits if I follow it?" That single question can reveal motives hiding beneath perfect words. Not everyone who influences you is evil. Parents influence children. Teachers influence students. Friends influence each other. Influence itself isn't the problem. Hidden intention is. The difference between guidance and manipulation is freedom. Guidance gives you more choices. Manipulation quietly takes them away. So remember this. The most dangerous people aren't always the loudest. Sometimes they're the nicest, the calmest, the most charming. Because real control doesn't look like chains. It feels like choice. And the moment you can tell the difference, you become far harder to control than anyone who never questioned their own decisions. Because the strongest mind isn't the one that never gets influenced. It's the one that notices when someone is trying.